Morning Watershed. I am here with a friend, a brother, Thunglau Hoykip. Thunglau is a partner of Watershed. You probably have heard us refer to our partners in India, refer to he and his family at various times on any particular Sunday. But we are in the last installment of our Dirty Theology series, where we've been talking about the parable of the sower, where there's this farmer that sows seed and it lands on all types of different types of terrain until it hits the soil that's good and it starts to sprout something really beautiful. If there was ever a seed sower that we need to talk to, it would be Thunglau. And so Thunglau, good morning and welcome to our community. We're so glad you're here.
Good morning, Uncle Matt. I'm also glad to be here. Uncle Matt, it was so amazing that we are meeting here. And I was about 19 years old when we met in Kota, Rajasthan in North India. I landed there because of the tragedy that my family has gone through. I came from Manipur, which is the extreme eastern part of India, border to Myanmar, Burma, what we used to call. We are 11 children, and then we got a tribal war between my tribe and some other tribe in the state. And it so happened that the rival tribe burns all our house, our village, and everything that we ever had. Then we become a refugee. We start living in the roadside. We were so poor, scarcity of food, medical, attentions, and all kinds of things. Then me and my sibling, my three sisters and my one brother, we came to Kota, Rajasthan. We're a children's home. We grew up there, and that is the place where I met you, Donna Auntie, Scott Uncle, Terren Auntie, and all of you. And my life was changed from there on forever. I'm so glad that
So this is a picture of you and I, and I'm assuming you were probably about 19 at that time, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I wasn't 19, but I wasn't 50. I was, I think I was 31 maybe in that picture. I think we were at the airport getting ready to go somewhere. Maybe we were headed home. I don't know, but I'm pretty convinced that your impact on us was far greater than ours on you, but thank you for being so gracious. So we met at the Bible College, and then we ended up here in Charlotte, and you ended up becoming a church planter yourself about 2 years into our experience, I think. But then you also started a family. So can you kind of tell us a little bit about your family?
Yeah, I am married. Of course, I have 3 children. My eldest daughter is Priscilla, who is at 8th grade, and second is Faith. She is 7th grade, and John, the youngest, is at 4th grade. I got married to my enemy tribe, and my wife is, I usually call my enemy, in the sense that because they are my enemy tribe, and then they have burned my houses, they have killed my relatives, and this enmity, this tribal war is still continuing, is still going on. My wife's tribe and my tribes are always at war. We often heard news about my tribes are very hostile to them, and her tribes are reacting to my tribes, and in a killing and a burning of houses. That is a very common thing. My wife and we start praying that what can we do about that. One time I remember that we start praying that to be an agent of peace. One time my tribe's militants underground who hold guns, and they abducted, they kidnapped 9 people in unknown territory in the mountain side, in the jungle, deep jungle, and they are about to kill them. It so happens that one of the men that were abducted got a sister. Her sister is a good friend of my wife. And she called up my wife with tears and crying that if we could do anything. Then my wife and we start praying, and my wife called up my older brother. My older brother is a social worker and the president of my tribe. So it so happened coincidentally, my brother knew that the head man of this underground or a kind of this militant, they were good friends at one time. So my brother run around, negotiate, talk with this man, so that because of my wife, because of his sister-in-law, means my wife, because of my wife, then at that night itself, around 2 a.m. at midnight, they release all of them. And that was amazing moment for us. And we pray that if any situation like this arises in future, we would join our hands and try to kind of be an agent of peace, so that there would be one day, I believe that there will be peace between these two tribes.
All right. So I had no idea that negotiating a hostage release was a part of the job description for you guys. So I don't even know what to say about that, except that that might be the best story I've heard in a long, long time. Tell us a little bit about Sariat Community Church. I know you started a church after you left seminary.
After I returned from the seminary, I started a church in a place called Guwahati, which is the central of the Northeast 7 states. And it is also centered to Bhutan in the north, and Bangladesh in the south, and Myanmar, Burma in the east, and also in the north, Nepal and China. So this place is about 3 million people, and a Christian persons of about less than 1%. And here we came and started a church, and then it grew into kind of 3 small, fellowship in 3 places now. The thing is that we find out that people speak different language, because in India, every 7 miles, people speak different language. That's what sociologists say, in every 7 miles. I myself have spoken about 12 languages, and I can read and write about 5. And then I could understand about 20 languages, impartially. So here, as we start serving the Lord, we are surrounded with people who are so-called here in India, illegal immigrants. People who are mostly the minorities, the Muslims. So in our nations, that they just passed the bills, which says that they are no more citizens of this country. They will be kept in detention camp. 12 detention camps is already built in my state. My state alone has about 2 million Muslims who do not become a citizen anymore. Anytime, any moment, they would be arrested and put into detention camp. So we lived in a very hostile now in the situation. At the same time, with what I said, that we are reaching out these people who live in mostly slums. They lived in the houses that were with leaves, in stuff collected from the garbage. They do not have a proper wall, roof. If it rains, they leave that and go to somewhere in the shelter. No proper drinking waters, no electricity, no education. So these children, we went and collect them. The place that where we are meeting to worship every Sunday, we help them educating them. And for the last 2-3 years, we have been doing that, and the Lord is so gracious that these children are growing in relationship with us. They start really trusting us, loving us. They feel safe with us because of the trust that we have built with them. And that's what we are doing. And recently, because of the COVID-19, the pandemic, these families goes for without food sometime for 3-4 days. One of the family told us that they have only rice, merely rice, no curry, no other thing. And they have to live on for a week. In the first lockdown for 7 days, they have something. But when the lockdown is extended for a month or 2, they were totally devastated. They don't have anything to eat at all. Whatever they got, they have to feed their children, and the parent goes for hungry. And then that's where what I said, with together that we have fed them about 25 families, and we are really grateful for this partnership.
I think one of the things that I just keep being drawn towards you about is your willingness to just kind of run into these situations. You, Angam, you've lived among the threat of personal harm, the challenges of, at times, resources that are scarce, material possessions that are scarce, and you just continue to love so deeply and so well the people around you. And just so everybody has some context, we support Thunklau annually to the extent that he is able to have space, not just for where he lives within the context of some of these communities, but then also a gathering space, which is really important for the work that he does in the city where he works, because of some of the threatening situations that can happen at times. But we've also been helping resource him because he's bringing some of these children into a space, loving on them, helping them just, if nothing else, escape an environment that is just riddled with trauma, riddled with struggle. You know, some of the pictures you're seeing right now are bags of rice and the oil and the lentils that were purchased and distributed through the mobilization of some of his Saragat community church. Some of your local pastors that you have mentored yourself have helped with this. And I guess it was a couple of weeks ago, we reached out again and said, hey, if there's a way we can help some more, is that something you would be interested in receiving? And there's 3 other slums, right? That you're 2 or 3 other like communities that you're hoping to try to help out.
Yes, Uncle Matt. I'm thinking about 3 slums, especially in the cities. The cities is flocked with people everywhere with slums, and poverty are in rampant because of this COVID-19. One of the areas that which I want to say about this, helping them out, is we are very careful about how we help these people, because the government is kind of observing us and they're watching at us. They don't want that we Christian would do a charity or a kind of helping out people, and it's a kind of like we would be easily arrested and accused of trying to convert them to Christianity. And because India is just 2.3 Christian percentage only, and very much majorities are the Hindus and the Muslim, of course. But still, then my government, my nation felt that it is Christianity is threatening. So they pass in the legislative bill after bills in order to scrutinize, or in order to kind of watch and observe the Christian activity. Now, in 7 states in India, the bill is passed already, anti-conversion bill. And also in my state, it will be passed very soon. Now, once it is passed, then if I have to baptize someone, if somebody want to come to church, then I have to go to the magistrate and give the name and tell everyone who are attending in my church. Should I obey the government, the authority, because the Bible says so? But if I obey and go and tell all the names, people who come to my church, and people whom I am baptizing, people whom I am helping, I am risking their life. Because anytime they would be arrested, tortured, interrogated. You know, that is the very dangerous situations we are living in. Freedom of speech is no more existence in my country. Anybody who is felt threatened, then they are put behind the bar. Now, as I say that we are doing that in the light of this, we are a kind of like, as Uncle Matt rightly you said in the beginning, a radical kind of love, and we choose to resist because people are dying. You know, one of the things is like they would rather be happy that people die with hunger and without food. Then Christian would help them, or we render a kind of helping hands to them. That is why whenever we distribute things like that, we are also carefully observing the situations and a kind of underground kind of movement, what we are doing and kind of helping them out.
There's been hundreds of hours of conversation between you and I. And so what's been interesting our community has evolved over the last 15 years. When we first started, things were true in our understanding that we've let go of. We've embraced new ideas about what it means to embody God, to be in sync with the footsteps of Jesus, to follow the Christ. We see these things in ways that are so different than we used to. And the fact that you use the word resistance, that's a little bit of an evolutionary shift for you as well. When I hear you describe a government that is ruled by the highest caste, if I understand, the high caste, and now they are imposing laws that continue to protect their power, protect their privilege, and not only do they continue to hold lower caste communities and people hostage to their power and privilege, now, and again, feel free to correct me if I've misunderstood this, these folks are predominantly from Bangladesh. They've poured into the border from a country where there was no democracy, poverty was rampant, and there was massive violent unrest. Because India is a democracy, India is good news. And when they get there, it's nothing like what they've been told was true. And so what is beautiful to me, and what is beautiful, I think, to our community, is we're trying to figure out what it means to live resistant to those types of powers in our culture and our structure, and do that with a robust sense of grace and mercy and hospitality, but great clarity about siding with and being in solidarity with those who are being oppressed, with the hopes that both the oppressed and the oppressor are liberated through that process. And to watch you come into that and move from a view of seeing some of these people as potential converts or more members of your church, to acknowledging them through a completely different lens and saying, no, these people are my neighbors, and I'm going to do this because I love them, not because I need something from them. I don't think that would make a difference to your government, but I think it's both courageous and inspiring to watch you and your family and your community members, in the name of Christ, resist the powers by feeding people that the government says they would just as soon die. I don't even know what to say about that. That is beautiful. It's outrageous. And if there was ever a place to find Jesus, that's where it would be. It wouldn't be at the top of the pinnacle of power and authoritative expressions of faith and religion. It's in the least of these. And so, can we talk a little bit about the people that you're working with right now? The people that are within some of the more impoverished parts of your city. I believe you call those slums.
One of the stories that touched me very much is about a family when we are helping out this slum family. That is about Ali Hussein, who was about 9 years old, and he was in 4th grade when we met him. Ali Hussein born without seeing the face of his father. When he was in the wombs of his mother, his father left home and never to return back. The mother, with alone, lived in a slum and raising this boy. And she is a kind of a helper in about 10 to 15 houses. She will go and sweep the floor, wash their vessels, and wash their clothes, and she would be coming home late at night. This boy, as a child, grew up and then studied in a school, but no one to help. Then we met him, we spent time with him, help him in his study, and he is growing up very happy, excited, because he felt like he found a lost family. One night, as his mother was returning from her work and cleaning somebody's house, cleaning somebody's vessels, it was dark, and she was bitten by a poisonous snake, a venomous snake. She fell down in the middle of the road. After a while, somebody found her, took her to a nearby hospital, and then she could, with a lot of struggles, she could survive. We, as the Saraigat family, we reach out to her, and in whatever ways that we can assist her, we assist. Now, she feel very much safe to our community. She feel very much, she developed a kind of trust, and she would feel very free to walk in anytime with our community, because she felt like she found someone who have loved her, understand her situation. And every time I heard a story like this, every time we do this kind of a kind of reaching out to the community, it pains me, or it kind of like moved me, because I can see myself. I was a refugee. I lost my property. I lost my home. I was in the roadside, and that is where, you know, a kind of me and my children, my siblings, we landed in a children home, and that is where I met, you know, Uncle Matt, Donna Auntie, Todd, and Terrence Auntie. They all love me, care, you know, and then we become good friends. And thank you so much once again, Water said, for your partnership. That changed many people's lives, and they are very, very happy.
So,
Yes, Uncle.
oh my, you don't even take a breath. You just keep talking. I'm like, breathe, breathe. Yeah, take a drink of coffee. Thunklau, you feel like you could expand what we did before by at least 3 times, maybe even more. And so if we can help you in terms of generosity, we want to try to do that. And so in the weeks ahead, and even today, there's a way in the link. If you look in the links, the comment section rather, there's a link for how you can get involved. And our goal would be to raise not $1,000 but $3,000, and that would put you somewhere in the 100 to 120 families that you could help, and provide food to help get them a little further down the road. I don't know what help looks like beyond that, but let's start there today. Thunklau, is there anything else left that you feel like, man, I want to be able to say this, or I want to be able to name this, either for yourself or for your community, or for our community for that matter?
Now I can come for the presidential election for next month, isn't it? To speak on behalf of someone.
No, we need you to be our president. That's what we need. You would get way more votes. I am absolutely convinced. Way more votes. And Ungam would be an amazing first lady. So it would just, it would be great.
I would just like to close with saying that a big thank you to Waterset and Uncle Matt. Thank you so much, that how much impact you have, you know, into the life of these slum families. On behalf of them, though you may not have not seen them, but still you have impacted their life. And on behalf of them, on behalf of my family, my church, we would like to say a big thank you to Waterset. Thank you.
We too want to say thank you to you. We are always changed when voices are given space to describe their experience here at Watershed. That's something that we believe deeply in, and we're just honored to be able to do that through technology with a friend, a longtime friend that lives halfway across the world. And so thank you again for being here. And it's evening where you are, right?
Yeah.
It's evening where you are. It's morning where I am. And so good evening to you, and good morning to our community. And thanks for being here. Yes, I will do that. Thanks.
Namaste. Yeah. Yes,